Welcome, everybody, to the 2026 premiere episode of Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniano, and joining me, like he did last year, we're back for round two for the 2026 fantasy football season. My partner, colleague, co-host, good friend, slightly a bit of a stalker, sends me pictures of himself in the mail, but I don't mind it. I hang him up, so you can't really go wrong when you're as good looking as he is. Bobby Wall. Bobby, you look as good as always, my friend. How are you on this July 13th, 2026?
I think I'm blushing. That was quite the intro, my friend. I appreciate that. It's great, man. It's summertime for us teachers. Living the dream, dude. Just got back from vacation, about to go on another one. Just living it, man. How about you?
No, all good. I'm with you, man. No, people ask me how I'm doing. I say there's never a bad summer. No such thing as a bad summer.
You got
That
that
is
right.
for sure. Fantasy football is underway. It's kicking off. We're probably a couple of weeks late with this, but that's all right. It's all good. If you're involved in Scott Fishbowl, you've started your slow drafts, live drafts are underway. All the drafts are happening. You're preparing for your leagues, and thanking you for finding some time to tune in with us. And today, in the first episode, we're going to talk quarterbacks. Take a look about it at our quarterback rankings, who we like, who we don't like, and how many players there are that we like. And that's going to be my first topic here. I'm going to be with you for about 30 minutes. And the first topic I want to hit, and this is what I'm going to throw at you, Bob. When you look at this year's quarterbacks around the league and you sit down at your draft, how many quarterbacks, when you look at that ranking, can you walk away draft day and say, I'm good with them being my starter? My point being, I can honestly look at it and I'm at least 15 to 18 deep where I could say, week one, he's my QB1, and I'm fine with that. Now, some of them I have to have a very strong QB2 and play matchups. Others I won't, right? Like if I won't draft Josh Allen, but if I did, I wouldn't even have a second quarterback on my team. But there are enough quarterbacks in my mind. Heck, I could even go 20. I could go 20. I'd go 20 quarterbacks that I'm comfortable saying week one, he's my quarterback in my lineup. That's how deep I think I can wait. What about you?
I'm cutting it right off at 15 for me. 20 is a little too risky for my blood. Um, so I'm going 15 for me, and I got Brock Purdy ranked at 15, which is too low. I'm sitting here looking at my rankings. He outperforms his ADP every year. So I gotta find a way to move him up. But 15, I'm right at 15. Stafford,
All right, so let me
Jackson
ask you this
Dart,
question. Are you comfortable with Jared Goff as your starting quarterback?
barely. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, because he's 16. He's right
All right.
underneath it. And my problem with Goff is that he has great games. And at the end of the year, his fantasy ranking is going to be great. He's going to outperform his ADP, just like Brock Purdy. The problem is you're not going to like the ride. And that's how it is with so many fantasy
Yeah.
players, just in general, regardless of the position. But you're not going to like that ride because he'll give you a couple games over 20 points, but then he's going to give you, like, for instance, last year, he had 6 games over 20 points. He also had 7 games under 16. And you
Yeah.
can't win a week when your quarterback's scoring under 16 points. End of the year is
So
going to look great,
so
but
so I'm gonna modify my statement a bit.
yeah.
What if I told you I was comfortable top 15, and then 16 to 20, I'm comfortable if I have two of them and I match it up every week? And
Yeah.
here's my 16 to 20. Here's my 16 to 20. Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Tyler Shuck, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield.
Dude, that's all right. Not in that order, but those are also my 16 to 20. Dude,
Okay,
first day back. We're doing it.
are you comfortable then? Let me rephrase this question of not taking a top 15, but taking two in that 16 to 20 range.
Comfortable is probably a stretch. I'm willing to do it. The saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have zero quarterbacks. I'm a living, breathing testament to that. This has been a bunch of years ago, but I once had Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, and this is like a funny story that gets brought up every year at my League of Record fantasy draft. The only time I started the right one, picking between the matchups, was on the other one's bye week, and it went all the way. It lost me the fantasy championship that year. I lost it, and I because I started the wrong one, just like I did every other week. So if you got two, you got zero. However, I'm not going to reach for a quarterback. If Jalen Hurts goes in the fourth round, I'm not going to get him, and that's how it's going to go with a lot of these guys. If I end up my last two picks of my draft, I completely punt the position, and I go Kyler Murray and Jordan Love. Not super comfortable, but I am willing to do it because if you do play those matchups right, you got yourself a solid QB1.
Fair, right? And if anybody listened to us last year out there, I'm a Jared Goff guy, but I also understand Jared Goff in Detroit is in your lineup. Jared Goff, not in Detroit is not necessarily in your lineup, right? That's kind of how it's always worked. And then you got guys like Baker Mayfield who are in that bracket, who just 12 months ago was a top 5, top 7, and he gets hurt and numbers struggle, right? What was it? A total, I believe it was over 4,000 overall yards, over 4,000 total yards. And then he finishes with, I believe it was 20 touchdowns last season? No, his ranking was 20. He finished with, I'm pulling it up. I'm sorry, only 27 touchdowns total. That's rushing and receiving. It was disappointing considering Jared Goff had 34, Jordan Love had 23, Bo Nix had 30. Like is Baker Mayfield an undervalued piece
So
considering
Mayfield,
where he was just a year ago?
yeah, to piggyback on what you said, he dropped almost 100 fantasy points from 2 years ago to last season. Almost 100. That is absurd. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, QB 19 points per game. That's nothing. He did play through some injuries. He was hurt. He was hurt. Lost Mike Evans. Not good. I mean, that's. Ugh. That being said, the first 6 weeks of last season when he was healthy,
He
when
was MVP. We were talking about it.
great, it's great. So he still got it. And for me, there's no statistics backing this one up, but Baker's a scrappy dude, man. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I feel like
Well, Baker,
every time
call the
people
clock.
are like, he's out, he's done, it's over with. He comes back to prove you wrong. And this, with the drop in production from 2 years ago to last year, and we lose Mike Evans, everyone is casting him aside. They're throwing him in the trash. I feel like this is just a gut feeling. And my rankings do not show gut feelings. I have him as like QB 18 or something. But it feels like, man, he could really go out here and prove us all wrong for like the fifth time in his career.
If you're in a 2 QB league and you get him as your QB2, you feel good.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
You don't feel
Like,
great,
I'm not
but you
worried
feel
about the
good.
Mike Evans loss. I'm really not. I think it opens up like Buka significantly. There's other talented wide receivers there. Godwin's a year healthier, also a year older. Um, I'm not, I'm not worried about the Mike Evans. Mike Evans is an aging player. Somebody's going to overdraft him, I think, with the 49ers. I really do. To me, remember too, that offense lost Bucky Irving last year to injury. It was beat up. And
Hey,
I just think, and keep in mind, Baker's playing for a contract. Money talks. We
well,
all know that.
Bucks should listen. If you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, lock this guy up, man. Give him a couple
Well,
more
right.
years.
What's your better option? Right?
Right.
Like, what's your better option? Like the Miami Dolphins just had to pay for Malik Willis. Like, stop. Nice player, but I'd still take Baker 100 out of 100 times over Malik Willis. So
Correct.
when you consider like what the Colts had to pay for Daniel Jones, like they're not just, I get it. Next year's draft is pretty quarterback strong, 4 or 5 guys projected in the first round, but you don't want to be in a position to have to draft a quarterback if you're the Bucks, right? You're hoping to win. You're hoping to win a division that is winnable. So that's going to be interesting.
I mean,
Another
I would take
player.
Baker real quick. I would take Baker over half of the starting quarterbacks for real football purposes in the league. I mean, who do you want, Aaron Rodgers, or you want Baker Mayfield of
Oh,
Pittsburgh?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baker. I mean, I could even say Jordan Love. I mean, that's a conversation to have. You want
That's
Jordan Love or
conversation.
Baker Mayfield?
It's
Right.
fair.
So, I mean, there's a ton of quarterbacks that I would much prefer. Um, that I prefer Baker over. So let's go Tampa Bay. Get with the program. Get this
Yeah.
guy some money.
All right. Now here's my next question. Matthew Stafford. Where do you have Stafford in your rankings?
I have Stafford at QB 14, which again,
Okay.
just like
Why?
Purdy, just like
Because
Goff,
I
is
do too.
stupid.
Why? Why are we down on Stafford? Why
Because
is the reigning MVP 4,700 yards, 46 touchdowns? Puka, Davante, they're still going to bring in a third wide receiver, too. There's still a few names floating around in free agency there, a Debo Samuel type potentially. You go too deep at running back, you go 27 deep at the tight end position, like you've reminded me all spring and summer long. Um, why? Why is the reigning MVP, who went undrafted in some leagues last year, was a free agent ad? Why are we doing it again?
the real reason is because you can't have two career years in a row. Okay. I mean, he threw for 46 touchdowns, obviously the best of his life. 2 years ago, 20, 24, 10. Obviously, he didn't play all the games. 41, but then 26, 19, 21, 29, 24. I mean, as we're working backwards, he's not going to hit 46 touchdowns again. He was only like what, 14 points behind Josh Allen. Matt Stafford had one rushing yard last year. One. So it's not going to happen again. As much as we love it, we would love it that to be the case. Because honestly, I love Stafford. He's a good dude. Um, but when you don't rush the ball and you throw for 46 touchdowns, 26 more than you did the year before, you're not going to repeat that. Even if he falls in, say, let's say he throws 32, he's nowhere near the QB2, QB3, anywhere like that.
Are we overvaluing the running quarterback?
I don't think so. I mean, if you look at how the quarterbacks finished last year, you have to have at least a baseline. There are only two quarterbacks last year in that finished as QB1s that had under like 157 yards rushing, I think it was, and it was Stafford and it was Goff. Those are the only two guys that are able. I'm sorry, only two QBs in the top 13 that had less than 175 yards and no rushing touchdowns. Stafford and Goff. They're the only two to be able to do that. So you have to have some type of rushing floor, almost have to have, if you want to have a top tier QB.
You know what quarterback led the league in rushing yards last year?
Off the top of my head,
Quarterback.
I don't know, but I could tell you in a split second. But go ahead.
Josh Allen,
Well,
579 rushing yards.
your
Not
boy was
one
second.
quarterback ran for over 600.
Actually, your two boys were second and third. Oh no! Oh
Or,
no! Herbert was second. Never mind. Your boys were 3 and 4. Jackson Dart and Drake May, because you love them.
yeah, I did. But that's my point, was the guys we thought were going to be the rushing leaders. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts even. Jalen Hurts finished sixth. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, they weren't there. Why? Because they got hurt. Bo Nix, who 2 years ago looked like he was going to be a fantastic running quarterback. Last season, they kept him in pocket a little more, 356. And I still maintain John Harbaugh is going to do everything he can to, I don't want to say slow Jackson Dart down, but he's got to keep him on the field, right? Like, he's got to keep the concussion bros on the field. And the way we saw it, we talked about it. The way Dart ran the ball last year, he was asking for a concussion. He was asking for it. My point being, like, Justin Fields was eighth in running quarterback yardage. Justin Fields was benched by what, week 5? So, like, is that stat? Lamar Jackson finished 12th. Jaden Daniels finished 14th. Those are the two biggest names. Why? Because they were injured. So I guess that's my point. Forget about touchdowns, right? Josh Allen with the touchdowns. You want a quarterback who's going to keep the ball and get the touchdown. But, like, are we drafting lesser quarterbacks because we're chasing what Lamar Jackson did years ago, which was run for 1,000 yards?
I don't think so because, like I said, the only two quarterbacks with basically zero rushing stats were Stafford and Goff. They're the only ones that could make it as a QB1 finish for the year. Now, granted, if to your point and something you brought up earlier, maybe if you take a Jalen Hurts, maybe if you take a Jaden Daniels, then it's almost the same as drafting a QB ranked 15 to 20. You want to have a second quarterback to like if I draft Josh Allen, I'm not drafting another quarterback. That's my
Right.
guy forever. I'm keeping him. I'm not even going to worry about it. If something were to happen to him, then I figure it out on the waiver wire. But Hurts isn't the most healthy guy. Jaden Daniels, obviously not the most healthy guy. You draft one of those guys, maybe you do want to hit on one of your last two picks, grab a Tyler Shuck, grab a Kyler Murray just in case. But other than that, I still want my QB to be able to score points with his legs.
Fair enough. Now let's get into the rankings here a little bit. I think we agree Josh Allen is number one,
Has to be.
right? I don't. There's not much to discuss there. How do you now, knowing that you're interested in the running, do Lamar and Jaden Daniels, are they in your top five this year?
4 or 5. Jaden's 4, Lamar's 5.
Okay, now
I know
who's 2, 3?
Drake May and Jalen Hurts. I'm banking on Drake May. I know you love him. I know. No, but
I
see,
do.
Drake May was QB2 last year, right? And he
And they
did
gave him
that
AJ.
right, right. And Drake May, I mean, it's so interesting because Drake May led the league in completion percentage. Okay. He also led the league in yards per attempt, which I don't know how often that happens because it's tough to complete a pass in the NFL. It's harder to complete a pass in the NFL downfield. He did both, man. 72% completion percentage and led in yards per attempt. I mean, that's something. He
Yeah.
also uses his legs, and he had 7 guys with over 30 catches. So it's almost like to give you a baseball reference. I know you're a baseball guy. He was playing small ball while also hitting dingers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, he's bunting, he's
With a
sacrificing.
room full of guys you never heard of.
Right, right. But now it's got AJ Brown, so it's very hard for me to think he's going to backpedal, given one of the best receivers in football.
Okay, so he sits there. I don't disagree with that. I do like that. And explain to me Hurts at 3, though.
Yeah. So
Now he's losing AJ Brown, right?
mhm.
Like I know they drafted the kid. People expect Devonta Smith to take the step up, but Goddard had 11 touchdowns. I don't know. Do we count on that again? Explain to me Hurts at 3.
so a year from now, and on July 13th, 2027, we may be having a talk about how we're not excited for AJ Brown to come in and help Drake May this year because he is turning into being a cancer.
Mm,
Imagine being a wide receiver 4 years in a row. You have 1,000 yards receiving. You make it to 2 Super Bowls. You win one in a city that is obsessed with you, and you still find a way to be unhappy. This AJ Brown is a major addition for New England. I see it as an addition by subtraction for Philadelphia. Devonta Smith, I will gladly say I was wrong on him coming out. I did not think he was going to be a super productive receiver at the NFL level, given his size, his stature. He has proved me wrong. I think he can be that. He's been a wide receiver 1 in fantasy before. I think he can do that now at this stage in his career with his route running in his hands. Makai Lemon was my wide receiver 1 before the draft. So I love that they were able to get him. He's not AJ Brown, but they also picked up Dontavian Wicks. Well, Dontavian Wicks didn't. Right. But I'm not worried about his production. I'm not worried about Makai Lemon's production. I'm worried about Jalen Hurts' production for this question. You could, me or you would be a better offensive coordinator than Kevin Patullo was. And so bringing in Sean Mannion, who was an NFL quarterback, I certainly think this is going to help the offense. The offensive line is healthy once again. That was a big problem last year. The only hesitancy I have is that Mannion's offense it's going to rely on timing and precision. So Hurts has really got to get his footwork down. If he can do that, he's got the receivers with the route running capabilities to make this offense really go. And I anticipate a bounce back for Saquon, which is only going to help the pass game.
all right, fair enough. So then you have Daniels, you have Lamar. Where does Joe Burrow sit for you? Because Joe
Dude,
Burrow's another guy I can't give up.
I hate this question because I have him at 6 because when he's healthy, the dude balls out. The problem is he's only healthy half of his seasons in the NFL. And so I have him at 6. There's just no way I'm going to take him if he's available to me in that spot. It's almost
Yeah.
like I should just not even rank him because he's not going to end up on any of my teams. It's just not going to be that way. But he's got top 3 overall QB potential.
In 2024, 2 years ago, he led the league in completions, in attempts, in yards, in touchdowns, in first downs, in yards per game. Right? He played 17 games. The year before in 2023, he played 10. Last year he played 8. You know, he just has to stay on the field
His
because the
healthy
weapons are
season,
there. But
right? His
the problem with Joe Burrow is if you draft Joe Burrow, you're diving into another quarterback probably sooner than you want to.
That's right.
Right? Like if I draft Joe Burrow, like I got to go get Stafford.
You got to. His healthy
I got to go
seasons.
get Dart. I got to go get somebody. I got to go get Bo Nix. I got to go get somebody, and I got to go get him a little bit sooner.
Yeah, because you're not going to get one of those guys at the end. Like the guys you name that you would love to have as your QB2, they're all going to be QB1s in whatever league you're in. So you're not going to be you're going to be looking at Goff. You're going to be looking
Yeah,
at Jordan Love, right? Tyler
I,
Shuck you mentioned earlier. Burrow's got 34, 35, and 43 touchdown passes in his healthy years. The dude can sling it. He's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, arguably outside of probably CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, the best top 2 receivers in the league. He just can't stay on the field,
but
which is
all
crazy
right. So
because
you
he's
have
not
him.
a running
So
quarterback.
round out your top 10 for me. Round out your top 10 for me after
All right.
Burrow.
After Burrow, I got Caleb Williams, which I'm not sure about him either. Herbert, Bo Nix, Dak, Trevor Lawrence. Well, Trevor Lawrence is 11 and Patty Mahomes is 12. Those are my QB1s.
Okay, fair enough. So you're trusting Mahomes as a QB1 this year?
Yeah, dude. Did you know before he went down, he was QB4 in points per game? Now,
Yeah.
we'll say, all right, everyone hates him, but my guy was QB4 in points per game. A lot of his production, he had the best rushing season of his career last year. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
He's coming back off of an ACL. Who's he going to throw to is a question we've been asking ever since Tyreek Hill was traded. He seems to find a way to do it. Now, granted, not as well as when Tyreek Hill was there, but there's still some free agents out there. You got Stephon Diggs floating around, and there are a couple guys that Tyreek Hill they could bring back and bring in. But the fact that he was fourth in points per game with the ragtag bunch he was throwing to before going down, he could still do it. So that's why he's right on the edge of my QB1, QB2 borderline.
Okay. Who is outside that top 12 for you that we're going to look back and go, I can't believe I didn't have him in my top 12. I didn't have him in my top 10.
Should I say Kyler Murray? I'm not
Wow, you
going to.
think so? You
No,
think
I'm
so?
not going to. No,
What
I
about
don't.
Dart?
Okay. So actually, I was going to ask you if I could use him because he is my QB 13. So he's right there for me. He is absolutely that. I mean, he was, what was he, QB 3 in rushing yards, and he didn't even play a full season, like 487 yards rushing or something like that. I think he's the easy answer.
No Neighbors, though.
Well, so
I'm not
that's
expecting Neighbors till at least October. And then, even then, how efficient is he?
all
And
right.
that's why Dart is a little bit of a fade for me right now.
Well, that's okay. So I'm glad you said that because that's my question for you. So Dart hit at least 55 rushing yards and or a rushing touchdown in 9 of his 12 games. 55. I mean, that's 5.5 points or
He was playing
more.
schoolyard ball, though.
I know. I know. Um, and he scored at least 19 points in 9 games. But so here's my question. Is Neighbors, now we're talking strictly fantasy here. Neighbors' absence, is that good? Could that be a good thing for Dart's fantasy output? Because he was balling without Neighbors last year because he was forced to run. If he has a healthy Neighbors, his passing work's going to look better, his passing numbers, but his rushing game, that's going to slack off a little bit, right? Theoretically, that's what you think. So that's going to hurt him as an overall fantasy prospect. I kind of think it's a wash. Um, I'm I'm not too worried. It sounds like you, the Mr. Giant, is more worried about your QB1 than I am. I feel fairly good about Dart.
I'm still unsure if he plays a full season.
Dart
Yeah,
or
yeah,
okay.
Dart
Well,
and Neves.
sure.
And Neves. Listen, Giants will be a better team. I'm not worried about that. Um, they'll be watchable, which will be the first time in a long time.
I can
That
tell
being
you
said,
if I take Dart,
that
I'm
being
taking
said,
a
there's a lot of concerns.
QB2. Oh yeah, I'm taking a QB. If Dart if I end up getting Dart, I'll definitely have a QB2 on my roster. But you're gonna love the riding that Dart wave. It's gonna
Oh
be so
yeah,
exciting. But
absolutely. But
if he
again, you
goes
got to
down,
pair him with somebody who you know is going to stay healthy, and that's and that's what kills me with Stafford being where he is. Is Stafford plays every week, plays every week,
every week.
and there's something for that. Same thing with Jared Goff. They're out there every week, and if they're your QB2, you feel absolutely fantastic about the situation. That's for sure. Now, before we sign off, I want to go a little bit lower in the rankings. We kind of touched on the top 20 and where we stand with a lot of them. How are you looking at Cam Ward this year, year two,
I'm not.
even with the addition of Tate?
No, I don't. He was so bad last year. Uh, clean. He was bad with a clean pocket, man. I can't. I can't get into Cam Ward at all. I'm paying him zero attention in any league. Two QB leagues. There's not a chance he's my QB2. He's got to
Okay, what
be.
about Sam Darnold? Are we disrespecting a Super Bowl champion?
No, no. I get him a QB22, and I don't feel good about that either. You got to think. I mean, he lost Clint Kubiak, and I know that was it Brian Fleury. He's coming in, and he's probably going to try to like mimic Kubiak. He ain't Kubiak. Nobody is. So just because you studied under someone, I mean, look at the Belichick tree, look at the Sean McVay tree. Like there are more branches that didn't work out than did. So you're not the guy you learn from. Hopefully, you take some of the best parts and make it your own. But I'm not banking on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold wasn't that great as far as from a fantasy perspective last year, anyway.
He had
So
moments.
right, but okay, so you want your fantasy quarterback to have moments, or do you want
Oh,
him to have a season?
right. Okay.
I mean, he had 8 games. Sam Darnold last year had 8 games, basically half of his games under 12 fantasy points.
Right.
Don't even say his name out loud.
Okay. Here's one then for you. 2 QB league. You're on the clock for your second quarterback. CJ Stroud or Daniel Jones?
Oh gosh, I'm going Stroud. But simply because of the injury, man. Daniel Jones has played one. You probably know this, being a Daniel Jones guy. You love him.
Oh no.
Was it the White
Don't
Mamba? Wasn't that like some random
don't
nickname I
don't
didn't know he
don't say
had?
I loved him. Don't say.
Um,
Don't say
yeah, he's played one full season in his career, and again, it's like a Jackson Dart thing, man. When he is clicking and he's running a football, it's good and you love it. The problem is it just doesn't happen enough. And he's going to be limited mobility wise, obviously torn Achilles, right? It wasn't ACL, it was
that.
Achilles. Yeah, so that's even worse. And they got rid of his wide receiver one. He doesn't even have Michael Pittman anymore. They shipped him off to Pittsburgh and they paid Alec Pierce
Yeah.
a
Led the leagues in
gazillion
yards per catch.
dollars. What?
Led the league in yards per reception.
I don't care about that. That's right. And because he had 47 catches, he didn't even have 50 catches. So I'm not. And Daniel Jones was 13th in points per game, which still, even with that, they were the number one seed in football. The Colts. They started 8-2, and then I think they
I know.
lost. They didn't even make the playoffs after that.
Right after they lost Daniel Jones. All right.
Yeah.
Who's the starting quarterback week one for the Atlanta Falcons? Penix or Tua?
It's Tua. It'll be Tua, which is probably really, really good for Bijan because he's going to check it down. It's probably not as good for Drake London. This could be one of those situations where if you don't get Drake London, like if you're a Drake London guy and you don't get him, wait until week 4 or 5 when he's underperforming, trade for him low, because Penix will probably play eventually. And I think Penix would be a boom for London. You get London at a discount.
Who's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns?
Who
Shador or
cares?
Deshaun Watson?
Who
They got a bunch of
cares?
rookies. They got a tight end. People loving Harold Fannin. They drafted the 2 rookie wide receivers. There are players there who could have a fantasy role. Deshaun
Um,
Watson, I know it was a lifetime ago, was a star.
he
Okay.
was.
Shador Sanders, Deshaun Watson. Somebody's going to draft him as their third quarterback in a 2 QB league, right? Who's the
Yeah.
starting quarterback for the Browns?
I would guess simply because of the contract, Deshaun Watson. I think they'll give him first crack, but I think he'll be on an extremely short leash. If he goes out there and throws 2 picks week one, throws another pick week two, they'll pull him real quick and get Shador in there. Poor Dylan Gabriel, man. He started some games last year. Nobody ever talks about it.
Nobody cares anymore.
Poor
Nobody cares.
guy.
Nobody
Oh
cares.
man.
Mhm.
I feel bad for him, little fella.
You draft Mendoza in a 2 QB league?
As long as he's my QB3, because I'm gonna have to wait for him to see the field. Cousins will start that thing.
Yeah, but it won't be that long.
You don't think?
6 games.
Interesting.
I think if the Raiders are smart, it'll be longer,
Yeah,
but it's
agreed.
the
But Tom
Raiders.
Brady, they got Tom Brady, right? Part ownership. He's in there
Maybe.
saying, "Sit him,
Yeah,
make him
maybe.
sit, make him sit."
Maybe. Maybe
This
he
sounds like a
does
good
get in
bet.
their head and say, slow it down. Nobody cares right now. Let's just wait
Hey,
this out.
yeah. I do listen. Before we get out here, I got to tip my hat to you, sir. Folks listening, Anthony Aniano is a man of his word and is of great character. Him and
I
I
thank
had
you.
if you remember the show towards the end of the year last year, playoffs,
Yes.
we had a bet on which teams were advancing the playoffs, and it was a point system and all this stuff. We talked
You
about it.
won.
I did win, and my prize showed up at my door not long later. So,
How was
uh,
it? Did you have any?
well, any or all of it? Yes, it was some daddy juice, and it was quite tasty. And I appreciate it, man. But I want everyone to know that you are a man of your word and are a fine fellow.
Well, I've conned somebody, it seems like. So there you go. All right, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This is fun. Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. We'll be back soon enough. We'll talk some running backs with our episode 2 of the 2026 fantasy football season. My friend, we say it every time. It's always fun, my friend.
Great time, my buddy. I'm glad we got to do this again. Let's do it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy your upcoming summer days, folks, and have a good one.
See ya.